Okay, please welcome your next storyteller, Cindy.
It was 1 month before my 35th birthday. I did the math. If I was going to have kids before I was 40, I needed to find a husband in the next year. So I was an engineer, so I decided to approach it like a project. I had to have requirements. He had to have great character. You can fix a bad haircut, but you cannot fix bad character. He had to have a glass half full mentality. He had to be fun and smart and a face that I could look at for the next 50 or so years. Next, I needed an operating system. I decided to try this brand new thing called internet dating. It was 1997, and in LA at the time, the popular site was called Love at First Sight, so I signed up. Next, I needed an algorithm. My approach was that I put my picture up there, and I put a nice profile up, and then I was gonna sit back and wait and see who picked me, and then those would be my guys that I could date. I wasn't gonna pick them. I thought that appeared desperate. So I start working the system, I get some hits, and I iterate, and I start learning lessons. Like, I learned how important spelling and grammar was to me. I learned that I did not want to be email pen pals with these guys. I wanted to meet and get the show on the road, right? And then I also learned that if and when we discuss salaries, a guy should not get visibly pissed if I make more money than him and hand me the check. So my girlfriends and I would go on the site, and it was like Amazon.com for bachelors. And we would shop for my future husband. And it didn't take long before we found him. His name was Joe S. He was an attorney. He was cute in a Steve Carell kind of a way. And I just knew he was the one. Mrs. Joe S. It just had a ring to it. And so I just waited for Joe to pick me so then I could respond, right? But days went by, weeks went by, nothing from Joe S. Joe S., your destiny is calling. Nothing. But other guys were picking me, and I'd go out on first dates, not a lot of second dates. Then Chuck D picked me. Chuck D was an attorney. He looked good on paper. He was a good speller. And so I said, okay, Chuck, let's meet for a drink. And he comes back and he counter offers and he says, no, I want to take you to dinner. And he wants to take me to a really nice restaurant. Okay. So we go to dinner, he orders a bottle of wine, and we eat, we drink, and then the red flags start going off. He starts name dropping and label dropping all the fancy places that he shops and the clothes that he buys and where he gets his furniture. And I'm just going, oh no. And then the topper, when the bill comes, he takes a look at it and he leans in and he goes, you'd never know that was a $100 bottle of wine, would you? No, I wouldn't have known, but I guess you wanted me to know. So I drive home, I'm completely frustrated. Another bad first date that will not lead to a second date. Joe S., where are you? And so I wake up the next morning resolved. I am going to go on and break my rules, and I am going to pick Joe S., and we are going to get this thing moving. And so I do. It's a Friday, and I've taken the day off to hang out with my girlfriend. So I leave for the day, and I come back that night. I can't wait to get on the site and go to my homepage and see what Joe S. has to say. But there's nothing. I check my email. Sure enough, I have email from Chuck. And he's asking me for the second date and everything. Right. And then, but it says, I thought you had a nice time last night. So imagine my surprise when my colleague, Joe S., came into my office today and said, isn't this the girl you went out with last night? She picked me this morning. I was mortified. I couldn't believe it. Of all the lawyers in Los Angeles, these two work in the same office. I took my profile down off the site. I was just so embarrassed. I may have sent an email to Chuck that I am not too proud of. So months go by. Time is running out. My 36th birthday is looming, and one of my girlfriends convinces me to go back on the site and give it another try. So I do, and we immediately go online shopping for my future husband. No sign of Chuck or Joe, so the coast is clear. And we see this guy, Paul H. He's a total hunk. He's an investment advisor, and he's looking for a girl with a glass half full mentality. It's a sign. My girlfriend's like, pick him, and I'm saying, oh no, I can't. I have to wait and see if he finds me. And I didn't have to wait long. By the time I got back to my homepage, he had picked me. And so we went out on our first date, and it was great. And then we had a lot of great dates after that. When we discussed salaries, he helped me open a Roth IRA. A year later, close to my 37th birthday, he asked me to become Mrs. Paul H. And then 2 years later, just before my 39th birthday, we welcomed our son, Jack H., into the world. So thank you, Joe S., wherever you are, for teaching me that things do happen for a reason.